Good evening, survivalists. Just another shift being put on. As you can see, it's changing weather today. It's gone quite cold. We're down to 10 degrees C. But anyway, I want to do a series on. I know we've had a walk about this area to see can I survive here, and we've identified plants, and a lot of them, and the answer is yes. It could be quite easy to survive here. But I thought, rather than just quickly go through a lot of items and be of no use really, there's one thing in identifying, there's another thing in what to know what to do with them. So I've decided to take one item at a time over the next series of videos, and I'll put it on a separate series, so that you can go and watch the whole series in one, as opposed to going through YouTube hoping you're going to come up with it. But anyway, we're going to start with the mighty oak. There's a fine specimen behind me, quite small in comparison. They grow up to 40 meters. This has wedged itself between an ash and an alder, with a few hawthorn thrown in the middle, so it's kept down a bit, but it's producing. So anyway, first off is, how do we identify the oak? And it's not hard to identify. So anyway, let me get a leaf in my hand. Quite easy to identify. Young buds coming out on this one, and a few small acorns on the other one, or on the tree in general. But anyway, it's mostly identifiable, or largely identifiable, by the shape of leaf. Take a good look at that. That is easy. That's an easy one. There's a lot in an oak. An oak has a lot to offer to the world, never mind to survivalists. So we've got to start somewhere. First, I'm going to look at one useful, easy item on a new shoot. One of the first uses, and most common use for me, is in dental hygiene. And you're thinking, what's this guy on about? First of all, take a young shoot, about so long, strip the bark. The bark is full of tannin and very bitter. The tannin is used widely for tannin leather, and I suppose they use it in all sorts. It's a tannin extract, and tannin is very bitter. So let's take a small shoot like such, and we'll strip the bark right off. I mean, the main reason I strip the bark off any tree is because there's a lot of bacteria. So is that on set? There's a lot of bacteria in the bark that we don't want. This is a bit of a weak specimen, but it's only an example of what I do. First of all, off with the bark. Off you can. All off. And then I sharpen one end to a screwdriver, like so. That's what I do. You can do what you want. The other end I'll make into a point. Why is he doing that, you're asking? The reason I'm doing that is it just fits the teeth better, because that's what we're going to use it for. We're going to use it to clean our teeth. It does two things, right? It cleans our teeth, gets the plaque off them, but it also puts a mild antiseptic, let me get the word right, into the gums. I've got hawks, I've got a long-eared owl over there, and I've got kestrels, all sorts out this evening. But useful along with the hawthorn. The hawthorn is so sharp and so tough that if you do get anything wedged in the tooth, be gentle, because if you stick it in your gum, you'll know about it. Between that and that, you can get good dental hygiene. It means you can get behind your teeth and start working on the plaque. If you do that on a daily basis, which I do off the oak or the hawthorn, you can keep your mouth clean. It's as simple as that. You will find the tannin coming out, and I've even known it to ulcer my mouth if you overdo it. But and I'm assuming that's the tannin. But that's the first item. We'll go into more benefits of the tree. Staying on dental hygiene, we take the strips of bark we took off and more, and what we do is we dry them out, put them in a place just to dry out, and we grind them up and mixed with, and I'll put my recipe on the screen for you. I'll do a notation so you can see the recipe, so pause it and rewind it and write it down. But mixed with cinnamon and various things, this ground up and put in a jar, dry powder, wet it as you brush it on with your oak, and it makes an excellent toothpaste. That's dental hygiene sorted out completely, because we often miss personal hygiene. How are we going to wash? How are we going to look after our own personal bodies, you know? So that's one item that can be used for. The most common edible part of the oak is the acorn itself, which is just starting to form now. So we'll get a crop in the autumn of acorns, beech. You know, we've got quite a bit around here. But to eat the acorn itself, and I haven't got one because they're very small on the branch. In fact, bear with me. No, there's none forming on this branch. I'm not going to climb back up the tree, but we all know what an acorn looks like. How do we eat them? Well, we know squirrels eat them. A little tip about an acorn: when you pick acorns, float them in water. No, wrong, put them in water. And the ones that have any weevils in or are a problem will float. Good acorns will go to the bottom of the water. They'll sink. And that's the ones you're looking. Discard everything else, it just isn't worth the time. Gather your acorns, stick them in a bucket and throw the ones that float off the top. But acorns for human consumption have to be boiled probably twice, or if not more, to remove the tannin. Then you can dry them out and you can turn them into acorn flour. You can eat them as they are, you know, but you do have to boil the tannin out. The tannin will give you a hard time. The oak bark contains astringents. Astringents are the body's natural tighteners, if you like. That's why we put it on our teeth. It'll tighten the gums and give us firm gums, you know. Well, here we are with the harvested oak bark. Let me just show you what we've got here. And I've dried some, and I've took some fresh stuff, but this is the dried stuff. Harvest your bark in strips of branches, young branches, no more than 3 centimetres. They're the ones you want. Don't be going taking the main trunk bark, you know. There's too much tannin in it, there's too much all sorts in it. That's the stuff you want. Small branches, sharp knife, and strips. Take strips of bark. Basically we're going to boil some into a tincture, and we're going to grind some to make our toothpaste. The tooth powder is, as we grind it up, we're going to use it, and you can use it as it is. What I'm just going to do is do a recipe that flavours it up a bit. So we're going to grind this up in a minute. We're going to take 3 parts oak powder, 1 part cinnamon, 1 part baking powder, and 1 part fennel seeds, and we can mix it all together in our coffee grinder, or by hand in the wild. Now, I am appreciative that this is a survival program as much as it's bushcraft. So in a bushcraft situation you can mix all that, but in the wild you're not going to get cinnamon in a little jar from the supermarkets, and in this country we can't grow it wild, so cinnamon technically will be out. I'm going to do it in this. Baking powder, I haven't worked on to get a baking powder either. I'm going to use baking powder even though it says bicarbonate soda. That's just a cleaning agent, or a cleaning agent. And fennel seeds we could get in this country. So you can look up these recipes, and I will write these recipes out. You'll see them after the clip, so you can pause it and write them down and play with it. Play with your own flavours. You do want bicarbonate if you can get it, so that's a good thing to stick in your bug out bag. But anyway, let's crack on with grinding up the oat powder. Anyway, coffee grinder, as I say, you could use 2 stones, pestle and mortar. You're not going to have one of these, or power, in a survival situation. Or you might be very lucky, you might just get stuck down in a plane that might have a coffee grinder and some available power in. But we're going to take the some of the oak bark first. We're going to have to feed this in bits, and I'm hoping this is dry enough. I have dried it out for a few days now. Just let it dry in a sunny environment, a warm environment, a brown paper bag, whatever you did. But I've left it in a carrier bag open on my dashboard just to prove a point. So anyway, anyways. How are we getting on? That was very clever, wasn't it? It's taken a bit of time, to be honest with you guys. It smells delicious. It's going to take a bit of time to grind, but I think you know where we're going on this. Do make sure it's dry. That's important. While I'm doing that, I'm actually boiling some water up. What I'm going to do with that, and this doesn't have to be dry at all, but what we're going to do is drop the bark chippings in. Remember, things to do with the food you can find. Save some of that. So I'm going to let that continue to boil. I just want to boil it, you know, make sure all the stuff's off, but let's crack on. Well, here we are. I'm grinding up as I now simmer and boil the oak bark in the other pan. You know, this smells, to me anyway, like a herb. I think it's beautiful smell when you grind it up. It's worth doing that just to smell it. I love that. I love that. And I haven't thought about it and I haven't tried it, but I might try that as a herb. But anyway, let's continue and get what we're doing done on this oak, and hopefully we can find good uses for the foods we find and know how to cook them. So I'm just adding bit by bit now and grinding down, to which I'll sieve off to take the powder off, because there will be a lot of fibrous stuff left in here. It's looking like a bird's nest. By the way, 15 minutes is enough to boil. As you can see, or can you see, the water's turning rather brown now as it's taken off what we want. So basically 15 minutes, another few minutes and we've got that done. Really, we'll move on into that. But anyway, let's take our first grind. It's nice to be in the kitchen using all nice dishes. That smells beautiful. It's worth a shot just to let's see if we've got it into a powder solution. What I'm going to do is tip it to a sieve. That might be a bit more difficult in a while. You might have to find something to sieve it with, but it is quite, there's quite a lot of powder in there, and what's become like a husk. We'll take that out. I'm going to stick this back in the grinder and see if we can get some more powder out of it. Waste not, want not in the wild, guys. Let's stick it in. Sorry, this process is a bit long. Be even longer if you've got to do it between 2 stones, which is more likely. Bear in mind, this can come off the boil now, because what I don't really want to do is reduce it. Okay, I could keep on grinding this, but what we've got left is a husk, a bird's nest or whatever. That is now dried, fuelable. Come on, think about this. Perfect tinder, so don't discard anything. You know, we've got a perfect tinder coming off that. Put it in a bag, keep it dry, job done, firelight in. What we've got off
That bit of bark is a considerable amount of oak, which we're going to grind down further, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, now we've got a rough powder, and it is quite rough. It's not a fine powder. Remember the recipe, 3 parts of this stuff to 1 part of whatever you're going to put in it. And you can make your own up. Just make sure you don't do something poison. So let me just try and get 3 parts. 1, 2. That's what I'm using as a measure. Half a spoon. 3. I've got a bit left. Wasn't too bad, was it? Cinnamon I am going to use. I have no fennel seeds. So by the same measure or thereabouts, I'll put 1 of them in, a little bit more than that. But it's not an exact science. It isn't Delia Smith. And by the way, you're probably wondering why I'm using grubby pans and a grubby sieve. It's because it's the stuff I use, and the wife wouldn't have it in the kitchen. And pardon the kitchen, it is under development. What I'm using is baking powder, which has got bicarbonate in it. I would use bicarbonate of soda if I had some, but again, this isn't an exact science. It's about cleaning your teeth. This, guys, is the toothpaste. In she goes. I would add fennel seeds. I could spice it up to whatever I wanted, to be honest with you. But actually, I'm just going to use this up, and that is probably 3 of them. Why not 1 not? This is going to smell peachy, actually. So really, I've used all my ingredients up and just calculated. Come on, anybody can calculate 3, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, I'll get about. But as I say, it's not an exact science. Don't want to repeat myself. Let's put that away. Okay, now we're going to give it some serious grind. If you have a nice blender, you know, you don't have to use a coffee maker. You know yourselves. I don't have to tell you about blenders, but bear in mind, a lot of these ingredients we're not going to get, and I'll repeat myself in saying that just the oak bark would suffice, because it will put an astringent into your teeth and it acts as a natural healer. It'll strengthen your gums and it'll help clean your teeth. The stick itself, as we did in the toothbrush, will do the work. But anyway, let's give this. Anyway, that's sufficiently ground. As you can see, we've got it down to a powder. I'm going to turn that off. I know it's got a safety device, but I don't lose my tip of my finger. I'm going to pour that into a cup for now. I mean, this is just common sense. I don't like to use common sense. I mean, it's a lifetime building of skills. Common sense is still a nondescript term. That means a common sense, a baby has as much wisdom as an old man. But anyway, we're going to pour that into that. I keep things in little containers, cheap containers. I buy scrounge. You could find them in the wild, you know. We don't have to go into that, but I'm going to stick it in that. By the way, this smells. I mean, I do have to clean it up. And there's my toothpaste. Toothpaste, I don't want to wet my finger and put it in, but what I'm going to do is take some. I haven't got an oak stick with me to show you how I actually do it, because I've just used them all. But basically what we do this, and we take it on the oak stick, we wet it and put it in. And we give our teeth a clean. That's it. That's all it is for the toothpaste. Perfect, good, healthy, natural toothpaste for the wild off oak tree. Anyway, excuse the slobber down the mouth. That's 1, 2 good things we can get from an oak tree. We'll now look into the tincture. And there are more than this. But I think because there's so many varieties of plants we can use for other things, you know, aspirins and willows and aspirins and such like that, which we're going to do. We'll not try and flog too much out of one tree. There we are. Weighs absolutely nothing. So make a bloody big bag, guys. Go around the woods. Find tons of bloody stuff and make it up into dry. Keep it dry in sealed containers. Stick it in your bug out bag or a roll up plastic bag, whatever. You have got to keep it dry because fungi will grow on it. You know, if it's moist, fungi will grow on anything. If you see bacteria, really, any damp surface. And the right climate, and fungus will grow and the poo will poison you, so be careful. Keep it dry, keep it hygienic, keep it in the Ziploc bag, whatever. Take it with you in your bug out bag. It's a big bag. then it's done. But if not, grind it between 2 stones, whatever, dry it out. Let's go back to the principles. Strip the bark of a 3 centimetre, no more than 3 centimetre limb. Strip it in strips to dry out. Dry it in the sun or wherever. Brown bags if you can get them, whatever you can dry it in. Grind it up on a brickstone rock if you're lucky enough to have power and a grinder and a grinder. Add the suitable ingredients for you just to flavour it up. It does smell beautiful with the cinnamon, but we're not smelling it, we're cleaning the teeth with it. Oak stick it on like we mentioned in the first part, and away we go. Anyway, let's move on to the tincture. I think tincture is the right word, but anyway, let's move on to what else we can get out of an oak tree. Anyway, here we are with the tincture. I've stirred it with a wooden spoon. It doesn't really matter what you stir it with. I carved this spoon out of a piece of oak. Absolute rubbish. I think it cost me 50 pence somewhere in some shop. I buy a lot of them. But anyway, enough of that. Here's the tincture ready to go. Boiled up, as I said, 15 minutes is enough. Again, you can always leave these to dry on a rock and use them for tinder. But what I'm going to do is pour that out. I would normally pour that out. Now we'll recap on this in a minute. I'd pour that. I'm going to make a mess here. I'm going to pour that out. I do have to clean up, guys. My wife is the boss. As you see, we get a lot of it. Brown liquid. We'll recap on this. This is what we're going to use, a very healthy liquid. As I said, in oak bark, in oak generally, there are astringents. Astringents are the natural body's tighteners. So what can we use this for? We can use it for a lot. We use it for sore throats, we can gargle it. A mouth antiseptic, you have ulcers and stuff like that. We can use it in the mouth, and we can use it on the bum, because this little baby is also good for piles and anal fissures and diarrhea, right? But as a mouthwash and gargle, I'm going to do this when we move up the sink, so just bear with me. As a mouthwash and gargle, take it in your mouth. Gargle it like you would gargle anything else and spit it out. Now it is full of tannin, you get dryness about it, but that's fine. You can take it also in little doses, a couple of spoons regularly for diarrhea to try and calm it down. If it doesn't work, obviously you need some more stuff, which you'll find in other plants, but it is good for aiding diarrhea. And as I say, when it comes to needing things tightening up, like piles, you'd have to sit in it. Really, you know, anal fissures and piles, you're going to have to do a tincture. I suppose you could dab it on, you know. I haven't had piles, so I can't do an experiment for you, but you can dab it on and it should start to tighten up the pile and push it back in, I suppose is how it works. I don't really know, because I've never had to try. So alright, we've had 3 products straight away out of the oak, and that's all I'm going to do on the oak for now. Because other than the acorn and grinding the acorn out, which I haven't really got any, but we do know, and I will do a separate video on that, about what we can do with the acorn, how we can get food out of it. But again, because of the tannin, just touching the acorn, the tannin involved, we do have to boil it 3, maybe 4 times to get the tannin out. And I did see Remia's grind it up first and leave it in the river overnight, which apparently was an Indian thing to do, and that took away the tannins and stuff like that. So there are ways of eating the acorn, but we're not going to do it in this video. As I said, we've got the 3 we've got the 3 products. This needs to be kept in in the shade or in a dark container, you know, a green bottle or whatever. I think you get the point. The recap is, we've done, on this video, we've done the toothbrush, which is excellent. This is dental hygiene done. We've got mouthwash for doing our bums and our mouths, and also helping with diarrhea. And we have got a toothpaste. Very useful. Better than taking charcoal out of the fire, making a mess of yourself, and it tastes bloody awful. This tastes great, really is a good job. So I do hope we've done proud of the oak tree on this video, and all I can say is this is Pete at Survival and Bushcraft saying have a good time, and please don't forget to subscribe. Just a PS, I know my strainer is rusty. I know I'm going to get a lot of trolls, a lot of comments about this rusty strainer. That goes with me, and it is only rusty, so I don't have a problem with that. The rust doesn't do your problem. Rust is iron. We need a quick gypsy recipe was to shove nails into an apple so they'd rust quickly and then eat the apple, and that's how they got their iron in. Iron's not. Keeping them clean, boiled and fresh is more important than keeping them looking beautiful in a kitchen environment. Anyway, I better go and clean this kitchen before our wife comes home and gives me an argument. See you soon.